In 1942, the U.S. Army started equipping their troops with the newly made bazooka, built by General Electric. It meant that the infantry finally had some anti-tank capability, which prior to the bazooka was filled by towed anti-tank guns or tanks themselves. The bazooka proved effective at destroying tanks even at range. But little did the Americans know that later that year Germany had developed their own anti-tank weapon, the panzerfaust. In this video we will go through their development, their similarities, their differences, and answer the most important question of them all. Which was better? Both the bazooka and panzerfaust used the same method for penetrating enemy armor. A shaped charge round, also called heat or high explosive anti-tank. A shaped charge focused the energy of the explosion into a narrow, powerful jet or beam. This focused energy allows it to penetrate armor, cut through metal. It typically consists of an explosive charge shaped with a cavity, usually lined with metal, usually with copper, which upon detonation collapses to form a high-velocity jet capable of deep penetration. The explosion creates a shock wave that is focused by the shaped cavity toward a single point. The liner inside the cavity collapses and forms a superfast jet of metal particles. This jet has enough kinetic energy to pierce through thick and tough materials like steel armor or concrete. Importantly, the penetration effect is kinetic rather than thermal, meaning it does not melt its way through targets but physically forces its way in through extreme pressure and velocity. Also, spaced armor and composite armor greatly negate the effects of these, and some like E-era explosive reactive armor can completely cancel the effect of these rounds. The M1 bazooka, designed by General Electric, was a significant anti-tank weapon used by the United States during World War II, and its specifications evolved through various variants like the M1A1 and M9. It had a length of 54 inches or 137 cm, and it carried a warhead with a caliber of 60 mm. It has a weight of approximately 13 pounds, with the warhead weighing about 3.5 pounds. It was rocket-propelled and had a maximum effective range of 140 meters and a maximum range about 370 meters. It had a velocity of 81 meters per second and armor penetration up to 3 inches or 76 millimeters of armor, typically operated by two soldiers, one as the gunner and the other as the loader. Although the panzerfaust was similar to the bazooka, it had many differences. In fact, the Panzerschreck comes closer to a bazooka than a panzerfaust. This is because the Panzerschreck's design was inspired by the bazooka after some were captured in North Africa. Unlike it, the panzerfaust was a single-use, low-cost, man-portable anti-tank weapon. It came with many variants including Panzerfaust 30, 60, 100, and 150, with different penetration up to 320 mm of penetration on the Panzerfaust 150. Panzerfaust 30, weigh 5.2 kg, warhead diameter 149 mm, velocity 30 meter per second. Range of 30 meter. And penetration of 200 mm. The 60 and 100 have similar stats as the 30, only difference in velocity and range. Panzerfaust 150 weighs 7 kilograms, warhead diameter 106 mm, velocity of 85 meter per second. Range of 150 meter. And penetration up to 320 millimeters. Both the bazooka and panzerfaust have key differences, mainly in the way they are launched. The bazooka is rocket-propelled, meaning it continuously propels the warhead until the fuel run out. This gives the bazooka greater range than the panzerfaust, which is launched like recoilless rifle, meaning the blast from the propellant pushes out the warhead. However, because of how recoilless rifles work, the range is lacking. An important difference is that the bazooka is reloadable and the panzerfaust is disposed after a single use. But the warhead on the panzerfaust sits outside the tube rather than inside like on the bazooka. This means the panzerfaust can have a bigger warhead, resulting in more penetration. We're now ready to conclude which is the better anti-tank weapon. The bazooka with better range, better velocity, and the capability to be reloaded. versus the panzerfaust with better penetration and cheaper to produce. The overall winner for the better anti-tank weapon goes to the panzerfaust. It is because the panzerfaust warheads penetrated up to 200 to 320 mm of armor, significantly higher than the bazooka's 70 to 100 mm penetration ability. This made it much more effective against heavily armored tanks late in the war. The panzerfaust created larger entry holes and more devastating internal damage compared to the bazooka's smaller and less damaging entry, due to its larger shaped charge design with a horn-like shape versus the bazooka's conventional cone-shaped warhead. It was simpler, cheaper, and disposable, which allowed German infantry to be equipped in larger numbers for close-range tank assaults. The bazooka was reusable and had longer effective range, but its penetration was inadequate for many late-war tank. The panzerfaust required operators to get closer to targets, increasing the risk, whereas the bazooka's longer range favored safer engagement positions but with less destructive effect on armor. But what do you think? Comment down below what do you think is the better one. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thank you for watching.